In this video, I'm going to show you 11 proven ways to lose stubborn belly fat. Hello and welcome to Total Health with Dr. Nick, where my purpose is to inspire, empower, and motivate you to live longer, healthier, and more abundant lives. And this is probably going to be one of my most popular videos because who doesn't want to lose belly fat, especially stubborn belly fat? And I know you're out there thinking, that's me. For some reason, I can't lose it at all. I'm going to give you 11 proven ways to do it. So you want to make sure you watch to the end so you get every single one of them. And make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click that little bell notification so you get notified anytime I do a video. And if you'd like more information about our keto course, check out the link down below. I think you'll love it. We're getting a lot of great results. And also too, I've got a keto cookbook, so you can check out the link for that below also. Or if you'd like some individualized coaching with me personally, you can also check out the link below, or you can email us on our website, and we'd be glad to help you out in any way we can. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the 11 proven ways to lose stubborn belly fat. Well, first of all, it's important to understand really what belly fat is. And that's probably the biggest thing I want you to get out of this is belly fat is not your typical fat. It's not the same kind of fat you have on your arm, so when you're waving to your friends and you stop waving, that's still moving. It's not the same kind of fat that's on the back of your thighs or your butt. Belly fat is very, very specific, and it's a very dangerous fat because really what it's called is visceral fat. And the reason it's called visceral fat is because that belly fat that you have also goes deep, and it actually goes into what we call your viscera, which is really what surrounds your organs. And that's what makes this so dangerous, and that's why it's critical that you get rid of belly fat above all others. I know you're saying, hey, I'd like to get rid of my leg fat, my arm fat, and so on, but belly fat really is the most critical. It is known as active fat, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Basically, it influences how the hormones in your body work. So when you start to develop belly fat actually helps secrete estrogen. So it's actually like a hormone factory that will actually secrete estrogens. And guys, it will do that to you too. That's why you start to develop breast tissue. And I know you don't want that. None of us want that. But that's why you start to get it, because that belly fat is a hormonal factory. And the higher amount of visceral fat a person stores, the more at risk they are for certain different disease processes. And that's a key thing. Like I said, this is not the same fat as on your thighs or your butt. This actually can cause disease. And what I'm talking about is things like heart disease. It can cause cancer. It can cause diabetes. It can cause stroke. It can cause breast and colorectal cancer. It can cause Alzheimer's disease. And it also inhibits or greatly influences your hormones, which can create hormone dysregulation. So this is a really, really bad fat. So I don't want to keep beating this up, but this is something you really need to get a hold of and get rid of. That's why it's so important you watch this all the way to the end so that you get all 11 points. So how do you know if you have visceral fat? Well, I know a lot of you are thinking, well, I could see it. It's right there. And I know some of you think it's pretty cute because you like those love handles, and you like because there's more of you to love. And I know some people, there's something in the South here called Dunlop disease, and that means when your belly Dunlops over your belt buckle. But it's not cute, guys. You don't want to have this. It's not all warm and cuddly and, there's more of you to love. This is something you really want to get rid of. How do you know? Because basically, if you are more rounded around your waist, okay, more of like an apple shape, that is visceral fat. If you're more pear-shaped, where you're holding more of your weight down over here, that is your subcutaneous fat. That just means fat under the skin, subcutaneous. Visceral fat is more internal, which means it surrounds your organs. Now, how do we get rid of this? Well, one way is to eat more fiber, because fiber creates bulk. And what is bulk? Bulk is the combination of water and fiber, so it creates that feeling of satiety in your body. Well, fiber can help you feel full, stabilize hunger hormones, and reduce calorie absorption from food. A study of over 1,100 adults found that for every 10-gram increase in soluble fiber intake, belly fat gain decreased by 3.7% over a 5-year period. So like I said, one of the best ways that we can help reduce belly fat is to increase your fiber. Now, there's different kinds of fiber. Of course, there's that non-soluble fiber that you get with a lot of your leafy green vegetables, but there's also things called resistant starches, which if a lot of you are on a keto diet, you can have these resistant starches because these are things like sweet potatoes. Now, sweet potatoes are called a resistant starch because it means it basically goes through your intestinal tract pretty much undigested, or at least minimally digested. So even though it is a starch, it's not going to spike your blood sugar very much. So things like turnips, rutabagas, and sweet potatoes are on that resistant starch category. Other than that, increase basically your vegetables. Now, next, we want healthy gut bacteria. Now, I know you probably think, well, what does gut bacteria have to do with anything when it comes to belly fat? Well, it has a lot to do with it because the type of gut bacteria that you have because of the terrain that you've created. So your terrain is basically the environment you've created inside your body. So if you eat processed refined carbs, you create a certain kind of terrain or a certain type of gut bacteria. When you create that certain kind of gut bacteria, they are always craving more sugars. You might notice this. You're always craving sugars. In fact, it starts to get uncontrollable. Well, that's because the gut bacteria that you've produced, okay, it's your fault, sorry, but it's your fault. Because of how you've eaten, you've created a certain kind of gut bacteria. So being able to change it, then all of a sudden you start to notice, wow, I can't believe it. I'm craving salads all the time now. So I don't understand why. I used to crave sugars and now I'm craving salads. It's because you've changed the gut bacteria. That then also changes how things work in your mind. And if you want to know more about this, watch the video I did really on leaky gut and just how important gut bacteria is for your overall function of your body plus your brain. Researchers have found that different types of bacteria play a role in weight regulation and that having the right balance can help with weight loss, including loss of belly fat. So guys, I can't stress enough the importance of having the right gut bacteria. So you want to take good probiotics, but you also want prebiotics. Probiotics, of course, are all the different bacteria that you get, and the prebiotics are really what the probiotics eat. So that includes your fibrous foods, your things like your cauliflower, your bok choy, your kale, spinach, celery. All these things that are the fibers are really what the bacteria eats, things like cabbage and so on. Brussels sprouts. So this is what you want to eat on a regular basis to feed the healthy gut bacteria. Now, next is avoid trans fats and bad oils. Now, the problem is so many times in today's society, we're told certain foods are really good for us, but they're really not. We're told that vegetable oils are good for us. Well, they're really garbage, and I've done videos on that too. You may want to check out where I talk about the vegetable oils and how they are produced with very strong chemicals, bleaching agents, chemicals to take the smell out, chemicals to change the colors. So these are highly manufactured, highly processed, and they are really rich in omega-6 fats, which are extremely inflammatory rather than anti-inflammatory like omega-3 fats. These fats have been linked to inflammation, heart disease, insulin resistance, and abdominal fat gain in observational animal studies. A 6-year study published in Obesity magazine found that monkeys who ate a high trans fat gained 33% more abdominal fat than those eating a diet high in monounsaturated fat. So really, really important. A great monounsaturated fat, of course, to eat. We all know about olive oil. That one's really great because why? Because it helps to really express the healthy genes and suppress the unhealthy genes. So it's very good with gene suppression and gene expression. So it helps you express the good genes that you want and helps to downregulate the bad genes. So that's a monounsaturated fat, but 33%, that's easily reason to switch from these unhealthy oils, like you can't believe it's not butter and things like that, to healthy oils like avocado oil and olive oil, which are two of the best. Now, next is coconut oil. Now, coconut oil is a little bit of a combination of polyunsaturated, monounsaturated, and saturated fats, but overall it's fantastic because it gets converted to ketones so quickly. When it gets converted to ketones, that means the body can use that as a readily usable form of energy and tends to not get stored. Studies show that medium-chain fats in coconut oil may boost metabolism and decrease the amount of fat you store in response to high calorie intake. One study in men with obesity took coconut oil daily for 12 weeks and lost an average of 1.1 inches from their waists without intentionally changing their diets or exercise routines. So guys, like I said, I can't stress this enough. So many of you are afraid of coconut oil because you've been told it's bad for you. It's got saturated fats. The reality is it's actually fantastic, and I highly, highly recommend it be part of your daily routine, whether you're cooking with it or putting it in smoothies to help reduce the belly fat. Now next, I want to talk about more protein. Protein can actually elevate your metabolism. So a lot of you who are afraid, and believe me, I do this sometimes too, I start to increase my protein consumption, and in fact, I do a little bit of a modified keto diet where I lowered my fats a little bit and increased my protein because that's based on my genetics. I've actually tested my genetics, which we do in our office, to see really what is the best combinations that work best with me, and we can do this. Anybody's looking for more information about genetic testing and then more customized programs as far as nutrition and exercise and sleep patterns and so on, go ahead and email my office. We'll put the link down below and we can get you introduced to that. But really, really important when it comes to increasing your protein consumption to lose belly fat. Several studies suggest that people who consume the highest amount of protein are least likely to have excess belly fat. A high protein intake reduces appetite, changes several weight gain regulating hormones, and boosts metabolism. Protein has a much higher thermic effect. Thermic effect is your body's need for heat to actually burn it. So it uses a lot of heat to actually burn it, to utilize it, than some of the other foods. In fact, its thermic effect is 20 to 30% compared to carbs, 5 to 10%, and fats, basically 0 to 3%. So this high thermic effect will actually help you burn more belly fat also. So definitely increase your protein. Don't worry. I know a lot of people are nervous because they say, well, if I increase my protein, if I'm on a ketogenic diet, it's going to create, gluconeogenesis. I'm going to turn it to sugar. Guys, that is a myth. I used to believe it myself, but that's not true, because basically gluconeogenesis is a demand-driven process rather than a supply-driven process. It's driven because of the body's need to bring blood sugar back up. So it's really never going to go too low. It'll help you bring your blood sugar back up rather than just because, hey, you've got excess protein sitting around. It's not a supply-driven process, okay? So let's move on. Now we reduce carbs. That's an obvious one, okay? But for maybe reasons you didn't expect, but you want to reduce carbs because by reducing carbs, your body actually has to turn to stored fat for fuel. So your body's like a hybrid vehicle. Remember that. It's like a hybrid car. It can burn sugar or it can burn fat, just like you can have an electric car or it can sometimes burn, conventional gasoline. Your body's the exact same way. If you get it to be able to transition, and for many of you who are on the ketogenic diet, it's a great diet, but sometimes you want to transition in and out of it because you want to give your body that utilization where it can actually burn both types of fuel. It's not always good to just burn one type or another. So being able to go from one to the other, it makes you more adapted, and that's really what you want. So reducing your carb intake can be very beneficial for losing fat, including abdominal fat. Diets with under 50 grams of carbs per day cause belly fat loss in people who are overweight, those at risk for type 2 diabetes, and women with polycystic ovarian syndrome. So really, that's where you want to be. Now, once again, genetic testing can even fine-tune that more because some people do better with a little bit more. You actually have to have some carbs to get the cycle burning, to get the body burning fat for fuel and so on. But for those of you who don't get the testing done, basically just stay under 50 grams of carbs. That's going to be a good way to do it because most of you are in the 200 to 300 grams if you're on the conventional or standard American diet, which I call the SAD diet. So next, you want to reduce sugar. A lot of you are getting way too many calories and way too many grams of sugar in just your beverages. So you've got to reduce that. Maybe you don't realize it, but there's about 12 teaspoons of sugar per Coca-Cola. So, hey, sorry, Coke, but I'm not a big fan of yours anyway. So you want to get off the sugary drinks. Liquids do not make you feel full. In fact, many times it actually stimulates hunger. Some of you are drinking Diet Cokes thinking, okay, but this is going to be better. I'm going to drink a Diet Coke. No, these artificial sweeteners make you crave carbohydrates. So you want to stay away from the artificial sweeteners also. They do a lot of other bad things like create brain tumors and cause grand mal seizures. According to the Journal of Clinical Investigation, in a controlled 10-week study, overweight and obese people who consumed 25% calories as a fructose-sweetened beverage on a weight-maintaining diet experienced a decrease in insulin sensitivity and an increase in belly fat. Now guys, that's huge because insulin sensitivity or insulin resistance are huge right now when it comes to storing belly fat and really creating type 2 diabetes. It's rampant right now going around the world, and one of the biggest reasons is because we're starting to become too insulin resistant and losing insulin sensitivity. So you really want to do the best you can to avoid that by reducing these sugary sweets. Now, alcohol, I know this is not going to be popular, but you also want to reduce alcohol. Big reason with alcohol is because alcohol is a poison to your body. Your liver's first priority is then to get rid of the poison. It's not to burn fat. So instead of looking at fat and saying, hey, let's burn fat for fuel, no, it's like triaging it and saying, okay, let's mitigate this damage here. And what we're going to do is actually start to detoxify the body from the alcohol. One study found that men who consume more than 3 drinks per day were 80% more likely to have excess belly fat than men who consumed less alcohol. Another study involving more than 2,000 people showed that those who drank alcohol daily but averaged less than 1 drink per day had less belly fat than those who drank less frequently but consumed more alcohol on the days they did. So if you're going to have some alcohol, have a little bit each day rather than having a lot on fewer days a week. It really made a big difference according to these studies. So have a little bit less on a daily basis rather than having 3 or 4 drinks on, maybe a few day a week basis. Next is weight training. Now, weight training seems like an obvious thing, but you know what? You want to make sure you're actually building muscle. Now, ladies, I know you're thinking, well, I don't want to build too much muscle, or if you're getting older, you're thinking, I don't building muscle, I just want to get fit, and that's okay. That's okay too. But here's the thing. You're starting to lose muscle mass as you age. Guys, you're going to lose a lot of it as you start to age. You have to increase it. Remember, muscle is a furnace. It will burn fat. So if you can start increasing that muscle and get that fat burning inside that furnace, you're going to be a whole lot better off. According to the International Journal of Cardiology, studies involving people with prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, and fatty liver disease, resistance training may also be beneficial for belly fat loss. In another study in the Journal of Sports Sciences, teenagers that were overweight showed that combination of strength training and aerobic exercise led to the greatest decrease in visceral fat. So I can't recommend it enough. You need to weight train. And I know as we get older, we're thinking, I really don't want to weight train. It's inconvenient and so on. But I'm not asking you to lift heavy weights. I'm not asking you to go powerlifting. That's not it at all. But I am asking you to start to lift some weights. Now, for those of you who are working on machines, it's still good, it's still beneficial, but it's better for bone density and muscle mass if you start to lift free weights. Much better, because when you actually put weight on your body, you're actually going to increase bone density, which is fantastic for ladies so that you don't have to take any of those dangerous drugs like Fosamax and Boniva. And guys, it's going to actually start to increase your muscle mass. Next is apple cider vinegar. I love apple cider vinegar. One of the questions I get all the time is people say, well, how do you use it? How do you drink it? Well, a lot of different ways. You could put it in a salad and use it there. But one way I love to drink it, and it's actually very refreshing to me, is I'll take a tall glass, about 20 ounces of water. I'll just glug a little bit of apple cider vinegar in it. For those of you who like to measure it, maybe it's a tablespoon or 2. And then I'll put in some salt. I like salt in it because I think it makes it more flavorful. Now, some of you may want to sweeten it a little bit. I see the brand Sweet Leaf makes some different drops that you can put in it with different flavors, maybe citrus, lime, lemon, things like that. So you can try that. Maybe I think they have peach mango. But try those out. Those might actually flavor it a little bit more because they're coming out with these beverages now. A lot of companies, I think Snapple has one where it's a apple cider vinegar beverage. But try out making it on yourself. You don't need to have different sweeteners in it. I don't recommend it unless you have to have something like honey in it. But apple cider vinegar is a great way to go to actually help you burn belly fat. A 2006 study in biomechanical and biophysical research communication showed exposure to acetic acid increased certain enzyme levels and increased fat burning. Acetic acid also reduced the expression of genes involved in gluconeogenesis and lipogenesis. So gluconeogenesis, that's the production of new glucose, that's new blood sugar, and lipogenesis, that's the production of new fat. So if it can reduce the expression of these 2 genes, you win. So try adding apple cider vinegar. In fact, many people will take a tablespoon of it, which is a little harder to do because it's pretty strong. a tablespoon of it right before they eat. So that's another way to do it too. But like I said, I'll drink 2 or 3 glasses of it a day many times. Last but not least is intermittent fasting. Now this is a big one, and this is becoming so popular. A lot of people are doing intermittent fasting, and for those of you that it's new to, intermittent fasting basically means you only eat during a certain window of the day. So for most people, they stop eating at 8 o'clock at night, and then they'll resume eating around noon the next day. So that's about a 16-hour window. So between the 16, then they eat between noon to maybe 8 o'clock at night again. So it's another 8-hour window of eating. Now, for some people, they shorten it up even more. They do what we call 2MAD or OMAD. OMAD means 1 meal a day, and 2MAD, of course, means 2 meals a day. So you can also space that out. Now, intermittent fasting doesn't necessarily mean that you're not eating enough calories for the day. You just try to combine it into those 1, 2, or 3 meals, okay, depending on the window. It is proven that when you can, go for hours, like maybe 12, 14, 16, 18, maybe even 20 hours of not eating, you're reducing your insulin load, you're reducing the amount of blood sugar that's circulating in your system, and your body will start to actually reduce or remove worn out cells. That's called autophagy. But also too, it'll keep you'll be burning body fat, because when you don't have fat in your system or food in your system, your body has to turn to stored energy for food. That's the way our ancestors always did it. When they didn't know if they were going to have food from 1 minute to the next, or if you ever watched the show Naked and Afraid, you'll know what I'm talking about, where these people might not eat for 2 or 3 days, and all of a sudden they feast on an alligator maybe that they got, or an elk or something, and then they're not eating again for a little while. That's the way our bodies are used to it. So this intermittent period of not eating and allowing your body to rest is great for digestion, great for gut bacteria, but really more importantly, great for insulin resistance and keeping those insulin levels down. In a review of studies on intermittent fasting and alternative day fasting, people experienced a 4 to 7% decrease in abdominal fat within 6 to 24 weeks. So once again, adding intermittent fasting into something, I do pretty much every single day, and I recommend it. You don't have to do it every day, so when it comes down to it, if you want to do it maybe 3 days a week, great, do it 3 days a week. Start 2 days a week. Maybe not have breakfast on some of those days. That's typically what people do. They will avoid having breakfast. Now, if you have coffee and you have cream and sugar in it, well, that's not fasting. That's typically not what we would call intermittent fasting. I get this question all the time. People say, well, what if I have my bulletproof coffee, which is commonly called butter coffee? That's breaking the fast too, because a bulletproof coffee, depending on how you make it, it's going to probably have about 300 calories in it. So it's borderline a meal there. So you want to be careful. Intermittent fasting means you're having black coffee or black tea, maybe sweetened with stevia, and that's it. That's intermittent fasting. So not eating during a certain period of time will get your body to burn more belly fat. So guys, I hope you stuck to the end. I hope you learned a lot of great tips, and I hope you apply these tips. Let me know which ones you're already doing. Maybe let me know down in the comments below if you're trying some of these out already. Also, let me know what you think about the video. If you like this video, make sure you watch my other ones, and thanks so much for supporting our channel. Let's help you optimize your health. We're all about human optimization here. Guys, I love and appreciate you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.